fantasy people? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Banjo, the dog, coming at you live from my living room. And this is the Fantasy Footballin' Show. Today's episode, week 16, Fantasy Footballin' on a budget. Put Banjo down real fast. So this is our waiver wire show. I tell you, who I would pick up and how much I would spend on them usually. So assuming you have fab left, free agency budget, start off with $100 usually. I'll tell you how much percentage wise to spend because I know nobody has $100 anymore. So there's no point in saying, $40 on this player or whatever. So if I could just take 1 second and ask if you guys could give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, subscribe, comment, questions, whatever, that would be amazing. So we just had a bunch of participation last week, and if we can continue that, that would be great. So because this is just a hobby for us, but stuff like that gets us hits of dopamine to the brain and keeps us coming back for more. So let's get into the running backs. First of all, Tyler Allgeier is my number one running back to pick up this week. So Caleb Huntley is out for the season. They had that whole three-headed monster down there in Atlanta. That was, they rushed the ball like 30 times, so it kind of worked. But now they just eliminated one of those heads. And they're running the ball extra lately with they just started the rookie, Desmond Ridder. So Mariota really wasn't doing much. So now they're just trying to, I wish we could see what's his name? Kyle Pitts would be doing with the rookie, but we're not gonna be able to see that till next year. So anyways, Cordero Patterson is still there. He had 14 carries, but Tyler Allgeier had 17 carries for 139 yards and a touchdown versus the 12th ranked New Orleans defense. So if you know New Orleans defense, they're pretty good against the run usually. So I thought that was impressive. It was a divisional game. And so I thought it would be like a low scoring, tough, stop the run type of game. And hey, the Falcons were able to run against the Saints. So anyways, they go against the 5th ranked Baltimore defense next week. And this was just like a stat that I picked up. Tyler Allgeier recorded a 76% success rate in week 15. That was the highest by any running back in a game this season with a minimum of 15 carries. And he leads all rookies with a plus 136 rushing yards over expected this season, ranking 7th overall amongst running backs. So, he's usually not expected to get many points or to yards, and he is getting those yards off those carries. So Tyler Allgeier is being way more efficient than what his blocking is being set up for. And if they're going to commit to the run, man, like you can actually start him. So who cares if Cordell Patterson's there? That's going to be a 2 running back system right there. You can start both of them. I would spend 75% of my fab on that if I need a running back, because outside of that, that is like it. So he's only 33% owned. So hopefully he's out there for you. And then you guys, next up, you all saw Jonathan Taylor Thomas go down. Zack Moss, Deon Jackson. I love Deon Jackson. I always liked him as the handcuff. He passes the eye test. You saw, if you watched him yesterday, man, he was spinning through tackles. He was breaking tackles. He was super fast, but then he fumbled, and then it was all Zack Moss after that. And then Zack Moss kind of looked pretty good after that, but I still think Deon Jackson has the much higher ceiling, but it looks like it's going to be, 50-50 workload maybe in this terrible offense. But they do run the ball twice as much as they throw the ball. So it's worth picking these guys up. So Moss out-touched Jackson 24-14 against the 19th ranked Vikings defense. And so they ran the ball 43 times compared to 33 times. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And they are going against the 28th ranked Chargers run defense this next week. So opportunity for both these running backs against a poor, run defense against the Chargers. So as long as the Chargers just don't get up by a lot, they should have their opportunities. My dog is moving my stuff. But hey, that's part of the show, man. Put him down. I think he's got a ball somewhere and he's trying to get to it. So anyways, I shouldn't say that word out loud because then he goes crazy. Jordan Mason, 5% owned. If Jordan Mason passes every single eye test, he is the undrafted rookie by Kyle Shanahan. But the thing is that Christian McCaffrey is getting a huge workload regardless. So we thought that it was going to turn into the Elijah Mitchell role. That has not come to fruition. And, it doesn't look like that's going to happen over the fantasy playoffs. So it's nothing that you want to mess with. And interesting thing is, we just talked about Jonathan Taylor. Sorry, I watched a lot of Home Improvement. He never missed a practice in high school all the way through everything. And here he only played 11 games this year or something like that. And he's out for the season now again. And here we go, Christian McCaffrey. He's got, I think, the fourth highest workload out of any running back this season. And he is played every single game. So this just goes to show you can never predict injuries. That is just part of fantasy football. It's never going to happen. But yeah, dude, Jordan Mason is the backup to Christian McCaffrey. He looks great. If he got the 50-50 workload, he would be just as valuable or more valuable than Elijah Mitchell. I really like Jordan Mason. But right now, he's almost just kind of a handcuff, but still you want to pick him up. They go against the 6th-ranked Washington run defense next week. So that's something that you got to watch out for. And again, so kind of handcuff territory. Gary Brightwell, if you're the Saquon owner, I know that he did not get any run this last week, and it was all Breida. But you do want, I think Brightwell is the guy that you want out of those two. And yeah, so anyways, I'm going to get this ball from my dog real fast, and I will be right back. It's just underneath this little tape right here. This is why you're here. I take it back. I have no idea where it is. He's never getting it again. I tried, at least. There it is. Okay, so now on to wide receivers. Sorry about that. Treylon Burks. Nobody's talking about Treylon Burks. He's still only 46% owned. He was held out. Last time we saw him, he was catching a touchdown, holding on after taking a huge hit to the head. So, this is the year of the concussion, and he was out for 2 weeks to concussion protocol. That's kind of, you get lucky if you're just in for 1 week. So he did the 2, and now he's coming back as the number 1 for Ryan Tannehill. So he was averaging 7 targets a game since coming back from injury before he got concussed. So, dude, he's the number 1 in this offense. He's got Derrick Henry in the backfield, and Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback. Sometimes. He plays the 12th-ranked Chargers pass defense this week or next week. So, hey, the Chargers have been putting up points. I like it. Next wide receiver up, Jahan Dotson. If you watched Jason and I's episode yesterday, you know what we think of this guy. He passes every single eye test. He's like a young Deshaun Jackson, man. Every single time he catches the ball, he just scores a touchdown. It's pretty crazy. Only problem is he plays for the Commanders, so his upside is capped. And this next week he plays San Francisco, so even more capped. He's got 2 touchdowns and 15 targets over the last 2 games. He had 4 receptions for 105 and a touchdown versus the 10th-ranked Giants defense this last week. But he does get the number 1 ranked San Francisco defense next week. So I would love to pick up Jahan Dotson. I'd spend, like 50% of my fab if I had a little bit of fab. Probably only playing him, but I wouldn't play him until the week after next. And if he produces versus San Francisco, you can go in week 18 week 17 super confident. So Jahan Dotson, 26% owned. Try to pick him up. Next up, Elijah Moore. Hey, this was crazy. I was going to cross him off my list. 45% owned. Dude, Zach Wilson under center actually threw to him. He was second on team in targets with 7, turned into 4 receptions for 51 yards versus the 30th ranked Lions defense. It's not great. He faces but he gets to the 22nd ranked Jacksonville defense next week, so another good matchup. And Zach Wilson is a QB until the end of the year, I think. I'm pretty sure. At least it announced that Mike White is not going to be playing next week. So 1 more week with Zach Wilson. But hey, dude, you can count on Elijah Moore maybe. I would flex him. I really like Elijah Moore. I would say he's a wide receiver 2 with Mike White, but probably a flex now because what's his name is probably playing. He probably understands that he's got to throw the ball and not just run around all the time. So maybe he's taking a seat and watching Mike White just throw the ball help. Next up, KJ Osborn. KJ Osborn, 3% owned. I'm a Vikings fan. So he had a touchdown last week. I think 5 targets, 5 catches, like 50 yards and a touchdown last week. Adam Thielen had 8 targets last week But then you watch this game, and KJ Osborn was just going off from the beginning. Thielen, they still need Thielen in places where they trust, fourth quarter, overtime. That's where he got all of his targets this last game. I was going to say, what's his name? Didn't even get a target till the, oh man, I have it. Ooh, it's right here. I was going to say, Thielen first target and catch came in 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So Osborn looks super, he passes all the eye tests, man. Like, he looks like Dalvin Cook out there, just taller. I kept on thinking it was Dalvin Cook. He gets the ball in his hand and he is gone. He's super fast. He's always been known as a speedster, but it looks like he runs pretty good routes too. So I think that Osborn in this offense might be on the rise, and Adam Thielen's coming back down. They still need Adam Thielen, for those dependable spots, but hey, upside, Osborn all day. Pick him up. And if he does it again one more week, dude, you can feel so confident in the last week of fantasy football playoffs. Maybe he's one of those Amon-Ra Browns that just take off. He got 16 targets, tied with Justin Jefferson this last week. So anyways, yeah. That was they have to face the 10th ranked Giants defense next week, so not that great of a matchup, but hey, man. He has 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Yeah. So he's on the up. Let's do this thing. I love me some KJ Osborn. And then let's see, Rashid Shaheed is a wide receiver for the Saints. In the last 2 games, he's been producing. I don't know if something's wrong with Chris Olave. So he tied Olave in targets this last week versus the 27th ranked Falcons defense. Last 2 games, most snaps among Saints wide receivers was 66%. And same route participation as Chris Olave, 84%, 17% target share, 21 targets, yards per target. So he faces a 20th ranked Cleveland defense next week. So number one dude you want on the Saints catching balls, at least, is the tight end Juwan Johnson. But now it's kind of a tie between these two right now. And Chris Olave was supposed to be just winning you playoffs right now, and he is not. So if you're in a deep league, look at Rashid Shaheed, because he's been super involved the last 2 weeks. Next up, guys playing tonight. I'm shooting this video early. Tutu Atwell. So I want to see. He led the Rams in targets, this last week. So, and you saw what he did with Baker Mayfield. Keep an eye on Tutu Atwell. If he does well this week, you can pick him up. He seemed to have a lot of, the most chemistry with Baker Mayfield. So watch this game tonight and then make a decision based on that. That's Tutu Atwell. Oh, lastly, Mecole Hardman, man. I've been talking about him forever, right? He tweeted soon before the game last week. He's 30% owned. He's supposed to return to practice this week with 1,000 question marks. And he would face a 5th-ranked Seattle defense next week. But hey, man, they need Mecole Hardman. They need some explosion here. Tony only had, 1 target this last week. He is still injured. They need Mecole Hardman's. MVS caught a touchdown. That could have been Hardman's, no problem. So I would spend, a good amount of your fab, dude. You're at the point you need to get to the fantasy championship. Just spend it. So yeah, Hardman, big deal. Now tight ends, I just talked about him. Number 1 tight end, Juwan Johnson, 15% owned still. Crazy. 7 touchdowns in the last 8 games that he played. He's been injured some. Led the team in targets with 6. That turned into 4 receptions for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns versus the 25th ranked Atlanta defense. He faces a 7th ranked Cleveland defense this next week. So you see Cleveland with Deshaun Watson struggling. There should be a lot of opportunity for Juwan Johnson this next week. There's not an earthquake. It's just my dogs are fighting over. Oh, they're not fighting. That's more than fighting. Stop it. That's not good. God, man. So yeah, Juwan Johnson is going to win some people some playoffs because he's literally been a top 3 tight end this year, man. It's crazy. It's just injuries. People forget about him. I kept on saying you better start him when he comes back. And look what happened. He caught 2 touchdowns. And another tight end, 15% owned. You saw him. He's been all the hype train. Chigoziem Okonkwo, 15% owned, 5 or more targets in the last 4 games. Led the team in targets with 5, which turned into 4 receptions for 54 yards against the 18th ranked Chargers defense this last week. Hooper is still involved with 1 target less, but we're going with upside here. I think the things are going to change for Hooper when Trey Burks comes back, because Okonkwo looks really good, and I think they want to see what they have in him. Unless they're just looking to trade Hooper maybe in the offseason and get him some run. Because who knows if the Titans are going to make playoffs. I don't think they are. And let's see, they face the 20th. Oh, yeah, they're going against Houston next week. I know Houston's been actually playing well, but hey, you take every Houston matchup you can get. So that tied in against Houston, man. I would expect a touchdown, hopefully. And then lastly, Greg Dulcich. I mean, he's 61% owned, but people might be dropping him because he just had a huge goose egg. He had 8 targets in the previous 2 games with Russell Wilson. So he only had 1 reception with Brett Rippon this last Sunday versus a 32nd ranked Arizona defense. Like, Arizona gives up everything to tight ends, and they couldn't do anything with that. So Wilson is out with a concussion. But he's supposed to be playing this next week, and that's the Rams are ranked 13th. But hey, this is concussion protocol year, and Russell Wilson's probably just trying to fade away as much as possible, like that Homer Simpson meme. So who knows if he'll play? But if Russell Wilson plays, dude, and people drop Greg Dulcich, pick him up and play him. QB Jared Goff, 48% owned. Dude, he looks so good. He's looked great for like the last month. 17 fantasy points versus the tough 18th ranked Jets defense this last week. And the 2 games before, he threw for over 300 yards and multiple touchdowns. He plays the 23rd ranked Carolina defense this next week. So, man, you can really start Jared Goff. Speaking of which, I'm going to sneeze maybe. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. I am not allergic to lions. But anyways, speaking of Lions, I think that you might be able to start their defense this week if you're desperate. 9 points versus Minnesota, then 15 points versus the New York Jets. And now they're getting Carolina. Dude, the Lions defense has been looking pretty good. Aiden Hutchinson's been getting sacks. So I like that. And then Tennessee defense versus Houston. If you can get that. Always stream versus Houston. Hasn't really worked out, man, but I would take my odds. Oh, man. And then I forgot my other 2 people that I was supposed to talk about. That sucks. So of course I do this. Anyways, when you don't watch any videos, you forget people. But hey, when I was doing my other video, I remembered some other people. Marquise Goodwin, man. Why didn't I talk about Marquise Goodwin? 5 targets. So now Tyler Lockett's got injured. I think he's out for the season with a broken pinky. 5 targets versus the number 1 49ers defense last week. 5 for 95 and a touchdown versus Carolina the week before. And they play Kansas City next week. So, man, you can pick up and start Marquise Goodwin. I would. Low-end wide receiver 2 on the waiver wire right now. 1% owned. And then quarterbacks, Brock Purdy. 2 touchdowns in each of the last 3. He's versus Washington. And, they just shut down Daniel Jones. So who knows? But I think it's, this is going to be a case of how much are they going to go up by, and then how much do they really need Brock Purdy to throw? So Brock Purdy's like literally capped out at like 15 points a week. I know he got like 21 that 1 week, but Washington is a good defense. If you're just looking for 15 points in like a safe floor quarterback, you can pick up Brock Purdy and start him. Sorry about Marquise Goodwin. I need to put extra stars next to him. Hopefully you stayed till the end of the episode to watch this, because he is an important player here. Anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate you watching. And hey, we have 2 weeks left. This is I know we're all burned out. I'm not, but this is where championships are made. Keep on grinding. And dude, we're fighting week to week here. That's why this list is small. There's no lottery tickets anymore. This is week to week. So, die another day, or whatever James Bond would do. Thank you so much. I will see you in a couple days on my Thursday show. Jason will be before that. Please, and if you didn't watch our weekend wrap up, go check that out. I know it's long, but I think it's fun. So catch you later.